Alright guys, in today's video, I want to give you a framework for a business that will not only help you make money reliably, but it's also something that's going to be very fulfilling, especially for guys on self-improvement. And this is a tutoring business. Now, it's not a flashy idea, and even if you aren't or weren't an amazing student, I still think that this video can help you a lot because you can use similar techniques to adapt to a business of something that you would like to teach that's more in your circle of competence. I think this is a great first business to start because it requires little capital. You can start it by yourself, and it's actually going to make you more competent and more knowledgeable in the area that you're teaching because now you're no longer learning things just to pass an exam or get a job, but instead you're learning things because you know you're going to have to teach it to somebody else. But before I get into the business, I do want to give a quick rant. Because I'm in the self-improvement space, a lot of the time what I see on my Explore page is like day 1 or day 10 of like 10K a month challenge or 100K a month challenge. And, apart from the issue of chasing a monetary goal rather than a goal on how much you can input into your business or how much you could provide to your customers, many of these guys will just quit because they're following business models that, A, don't work, B, they're oversaturated, C, it's a business that doesn't just play to their strengths, and, they're most commonly, in my opinion, D, it doesn't align close to their passion, and it feels like monotonous work, which causes them to just burn out very fast. There's also, in my opinion, too much of a focus on like pricing and gaining customers when these guys, a lot of the time, can't even put out a good product, which causes them to not gain new customers or retain their current ones. And so that's why in this video, I'm going to go into two parts. One of them is how you can actually just set up the business straight up. And then the second one is, how to gain more clients in that part. And then the second part is how this business can actually work with your passion if you're somebody on self-improvement to thereby make your services more valuable to the customers, leading to a better business for you. Okay, so the first part. To set up your tutoring business, you first have to figure out what you want to teach. For me personally, I did well in high school math and sciences. Those are just the subjects I took, so that's what I decided to teach. For you, it could be programming, accounting, art, and even just a standardized test that you've done, such as like the SAT, right? So if you've done a standardized test that you think you have the good result for, and you want to help other people in it, you can also make that your tutoring service. But essentially, after you've figured out what you need to teach, you need to find customers. So for me, I got into this whole tutoring side after a former teacher recommended me to start teaching one of her students. So what you could do is you could just go back to where you first learned the skill that you want to monetize or the skill that you want to teach. So let's say, it was a high school, right? You can ask your old teacher, like kind of how my old teacher came to me, that if she or he has any students that would want tutoring, or you can just straight up ask the current students taking the class. You can let them know, hey, I got a good grade in this class, or I did well in this class, and that led me to getting this job or this university admission. You can essentially just use that as a selling pitch that, telling these students that if you work with me, I can help you get that grade or get you that into that university, right? So you're basically selling them the outcome, not telling them straight up, okay, I'm going to help you with tutoring, but I'm going to get you this if you just work with me. So that's the first thing you can do. Just go back to the source. The other thing that you can do is, if you want to get your like very first clients, is just simply reach out to your friends and family. Ask them if they know anybody that would want help. And because your friends and family kind of already have a good reputation of you, or at least they should have a good reputation of you, you kind of have a little bit of like leverage there, right? Somebody can actually vouch for you and like give you a good referral. And if you're not willing to ask your friends and family about something like this, if you're scared to do it, then I can't lie, you're kind of not built for this, because it means that you're just not confident in your abilities and you kind of need to take a step back and, work more on whatever you're trying to teach or go a different path, right? The next thing that you can do to gain more customers is just put out online advertisements. something I really like for a tutoring business is local Facebook groups, because a lot of the time it's going to be parents that are going to hire you. And so parents are usually on Facebook. So you can go find some Facebook groups of your like local area and just join them and ask if anybody's looking for tutoring. The other thing is you want to make sure you're putting up a professional ad, but at the same time, you want to be like respectful to the rules of the community. Some of them just don't allow postings on certain days, or some of them just don't allow it straight up. So make sure you're also not gaining a bad reputation throughout the community. The other thing that you can do is just find communities, uh, like online communities like Discords, Reddits, same thing, Facebooks as well. If anybody's looking for tutoring at your school, college, or university, right? Because that's actually where you're going to find a lot of students who will actually come forward to you. You'll find a lot of like postings where people are looking for this type of tutor, so you can put that out. The other thing that you can do is like reach out to specific clubs, like within a school. That could be like a sports team, right? That way you can gain multiple clients at once, or you can just straight up reach out to departments, letting them know that if anybody in this department would like tutoring of this specific class or this specific course, they can come to you. And, just partnering up. You can also do this with private schools, because that's where you're going to get a lot of people that are willing to pay for tutoring. And at the same time, that you can capture a larger market because the community is so much more tight knit. Now, also, you're going to be doing a lot of this online simply because it's very easy to reach a lot of people. But the other thing that you can do is just put in real life flyers at different places, right? So libraries is a good idea, community centers, parks. And what I would suggest in your advertisements, I'll put up a sample advertisement, and I probably put up a online one as well. But it would be a good idea when you're first starting and you like don't have a reputation yet, put out that your first lesson is free. Yes, you will have to work without money, but this will actually help you because it'll make you realize whether you actually enjoy this stuff without having to actually commit to anything. And at the same time, it's going to help you hook customers. And, truly, if you are doing good at this, that's what's going to help the customers stick. Now, the other thing you can do is there's specific tutoring websites that you can join, but me personally, I've never done this, so I can't comment on it. But the reason why I haven't done this and haven't needed to do this is because most of my clients have came from referrals, right? The best way to get clients is just using your old clients. So this is the way that I got most of my clients. I started off with these techniques, and I also had, people asking me because I did have a little bit of a reputation afterwards in like certain communities that I can help people boost their grades, and so that's why whenever you do get a good client, you want to make sure you ask them if they know anybody else. But I will get into the pitch that you can use to kind of follow up with somebody in a second. So the thing is, before you ask them, for a reference, you have to have delivered on your promise of making them improve. And I think the best way to make them improve at like a certain skill, especially when it's something related to school, is just have them do more of the task or do more of the problem. Because the best way to learn is with experience. And what I do a lot of the time to make it more interesting for both sides and have them a little bit of skin in the game is to make sure that they are doing their homework consistently and following up with them throughout the week. If you really want to take this to the next level, what you can do is charge them every time they don't complete their homework. Now, the second way that you can really make a difference in their learning, and this has to do with like the part that's like a lot more fulfilling for you, is you can become some sort of mentor for them by first, giving them the motivation and, giving them the intrinsic values on why it's important to do well in whatever you're teaching, right? You can help them make that connection that it'll land them a good job. It'll be good for their future. Maybe it's a prerequisite for a course that they want to go into. Maybe they want to keep their options open And if they do well in a certain field, that'll help them keep their options open, and they'll be more in demand. So, as somebody on self improvement, you should already be asking yourself questions on, like, why am I doing this? What is my passion? And you can do the same thing with your clients, right? You can kind of practice on your clients. And not only will this help you in your business, because your students will take tutoring and, learning more seriously if they actually have a reason to do so. But at the same time, you seeing how you're able to like positively impact people will, be a lot of motivation for you to continue in this business, and it'll just be something that's very self-serving and fulfilling, right? And so what else is great about the realization that people can have um, when they start improving is that, like, once they start improving in school, because this is something very tangible, right? It has like grades associated with it, or maybe a job interview, right? It has some feedback associated with it. Once they realize that if they put effort into this area of their life, it will actually, show something for them, right? What they put in, they'll actually get out. This will bleed into other aspects of their life. So an example of this is, like, I had a student who naturally was somebody like that was very smart. He just had no motivation, and to be honest, he was like borderline depressed. Right? He rarely interacted with other people. He barely put time into school, and his grades reflected that. So, his parents, they hired me just to help him get started into spending more time with school. But later on, that led to me affecting a lot of his other parts of life. And how did that all start? It all started with one simple change. We just studied for 1 hour every day, right? At first, this was pretty tough for him, but because he had somebody supporting him, like you would be supporting your students, once he saw his grades improved, something clicked, right? Like he realized that, okay, if I just put in effort into this and I have somebody supporting me and I have more social interactions, if I do well in this and I get praised if I do well in something, I will continue to do it, right? And then what that led to is him just finding the content that he was learning, right? Like the school subject itself, interesting. And he realized that, um, you know, he could apply this notion of what I put in, I get back out, to more than just school, right? So I kind of encouraged him to participate a bit more in class. Um, like if you help others in the classroom, then you'll get more social interaction, and in fact, they will likely help you when you need something, right? So he kind of built up this idea that the more he tries, the better outcome he'll get. And that's what slowly started to build his confidence, right? He became more social, he became more engaged, and he even started asking me for tips outside of school. Uh, Things like, can you help me find like my passion, like what I want to go into, what career I should move forward with? How can I start my savings, right? Investments, like think more long term. Even how do I get started in the gym, right? So, in my opinion, that's why I was saying at the beginning that this video is split up in two parts. If you can, add a little bit of self improvement that you're learning from YouTube and hopefully some of my videos into the stuff that you're teaching, you're not only going to have a better product for your student, but at the same time, it's just going to be something that's more fulfilling for you, right? Um, and also, if you see somebody else taking your advice and doing better, you yourself will take your advice more seriously. Okay, so that was kind of my like pitch on why you should be a tutor. But if we get back to how this relates to the business side, once you've done something like change somebody's life trajectory, or even just help them improve, help them gain a little bit more confidence, that's something immensely valuable to them. And what you can ask for in return is simply a referral and a testimonial. And so what's nice about the referral side is if they generally people know people that are in a similar position to them or were in a similar position. So you're going to have somebody that actually like vouches for you. And what you can even do is ask them if they would want to be taught alongside somebody. That way, if you're charging $50 an hour for one student, which is well above, what minimum wage job a lot of people can get, instead you can charge 35 for each person, one for them, and then 35 for their referral, or even something higher for the referral, less for them because they referred another person. You make like 70 an hour, which is good because you make more money and they get a cheaper rate. And so the best way, in my opinion, to implement this idea of teaching more than one person at once is to do online sessions, because that way you're able to regulate the classroom a little bit better. But the problem is that initially, the hook for a lot of people for tutoring and like the way that you can actually start getting your clients is that you have to start in person, right? A lot of people want that face to face that's going to help them stay accountable. And so, before this person becomes reoccurring and you can sort of transition them to online sessions, what you can do is just meet at a library or you go to their house physically. That way, there's no physical space that you have to rent out or you have to buy. And then later on, when stuff becomes a bit more comfortable between you guys, you've built up sort of a reputation. To save your time, if you really need to, you can just do online sessions using like one of those online writing tools. Another strategy that you can use to help with this transition to online and this transition to having more students that you're teaching at once, which will also provide more value to your students, is to have in these weekly drop-in sessions. So essentially, one day of the week for like an hour and a half, any of your students, especially if you have students that you're teaching different things, like for me, I'm teaching math to some people at grade 9 level, some at a grade 12 level, or computer science to some people at a university level, right? So what you can do is you can have this one kind of dedicated hour and a half block where anybody can drop in, ask you one question, and then if they want to ask you another question, they kind of have to wait till the queue is back up. And so what that does is it adds something in addition to the regular weekly session that you're going to have, and this helps keep them more accountable. At the same time, it makes them feel like they're getting a much better deal. It makes them feel like instead of 1 or 2 sessions a week, they're getting 2 or 3 sessions a week. And this will also help you transition to having multiple students at once, because you are answering the questions of multiple people that all feel like they're getting a more personalized session, right? So this is something you want to do in addition, and I like to do this for free because a big part of this video and like a big concept that I wanted to get to you is like, if you focus on just providing value to your customers, they will want to stick with you and they will want to pay you more money. I see like way too many people online trying to start a business, just worrying about pricing, right? Like, oh, they need to pay this much, or like get high ticket clients only, right? People will want to pay you more, and you can ask to, be paid more if you're providing them value that makes them feel like, hey, I'm getting too good of a deal. Like I should pay this person more, right? That's obviously within limit. You do need to keep your prices high. I keep my prices quite high, but I was only able to do this because internally I felt like, yeah, I'm providing you guys a lot of value, and they felt the same thing, right? It's a kind of an exchange. The last thing I want to talk about is how you can actually scale up this business. And an interesting thing you can do is your first initial clients that you had are likely people that you spent a lot more time with, and you were a lot more careful in following up with them for their referral. But you can actually ask them to become tutors as well, right? Either they can tutor alongside you, or you can pair them with people to teach, and they can take over maybe once in a while when you're busy with other clients, right? Free up some of your time. And then you can just pay them slightly less and take the same amount from the other person who you're actually collecting, like your client, take the same amount from them, and you just make the difference in between that. Especially if you're able to coordinate multiple clients with your one employee, there's a much bigger spread that you can make between that. I could go into the numbers, but I kind of think you realize that if you price your stuff very well, which you need to because you will be providing a lot of value to them, right? The more you actually increase your price, the more you will feel like you need to provide this value, and you won't feel bad doing it. So definitely keep your prices somewhere relatively high, but you can only start increasing your prices once you have some sort of reputation, right? And that's like kind of the main goal I wanted to get at with this video, is how you can use this to your advantage by playing to your strengths as somebody that's on self-improvement, but at the same time make a good amount of reliable income, and get your foot in the door of what the world is like if you wanted to start your own business or be self-employed. Other than that, if you guys had any comments on things that I could have talked about, or you just had some follow-up questions, definitely put them in the comment section for me, and I'll give them a read.